So, how can a company actually listen to millions of its customers all at once? It's a huge challenge for basically any modern business. Today, we're going to break down how generative AI can take this massive, overwhelming mountain of customer feedback and turn it into clear, actionable intelligence.
I mean, just think about that question for a second. Businesses get this absolute treasure trove of feedback, right? From reviews, surveys, support tickets. But just having the data, that's only half the battle. The real challenge is understanding what it all means in real time.
And here's the tough reality. The sheer volume is so immense that most of this feedback just sits there, completely unread and unanalyzed. So companies are literally drowning in data, but starving for the wisdom that's hidden inside it. All those critical insights that could improve products and make customers happier, they're just lost in the noise.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll get a handle on just how big this feedback overload problem is. Then we'll dive into the AI architecture that's built to solve it. We'll follow the data's journey from raw text to a real insight, and then see how it all leads to making smarter, faster decisions.
Okay, so let's start with the problem itself. And look, we're not talking about a few dozen comments here. We're talking about a constant fire hose of unstructured data, and the scale is just staggering.
Just to put it in perspective, this system we're looking at was designed to handle over 5 million reviews, and that's from just a single source. Trying to process that much feedback by hand isn't just inefficient, it's completely and utterly impossible. So how in the world do you solve an impossible problem? Well, you build a smarter system. Let's take a look at the AI-powered architecture designed to tackle this exact challenge. And this image right here shows you the entire pipeline. On the far left, you've got all the raw customer reviews just pouring in. They flow through data ingestion, get classified by an AI model, then segmented into specific business areas, and finally, they pop out on the right as an interactive dashboard that pretty much anyone can use. Now, behind this diagram is a really powerful tech stack, and every piece was chosen for a reason. You've got Azure providing that scalable foundation, with Data Lake for the massive storage, and Databricks for the serious, heavy-duty processing. The brain of the operation is a large language model, which is optimized with the DSPy framework to make sure it's super accurate. And then it's all held together with Delta Lake for reliable data and Docker for easy deployment. All right, let's get a little more granular. What actually happens to a single customer review as it moves through this thing? We're going to follow its journey, step by step. So every single piece of feedback goes on this 5-step journey. First, it's ingested. Then it's pre-processed, cleaned up, normalized, and super importantly, scrubbed of any personal info. Then the AI gets to work analyzing it, figuring out the sentiment and the topics. Next, it's segmented into specific business areas, like checkout experience. And finally, that refined insight is stored, all ready to be used.
Okay, let's zoom in on the tech that makes this whole process not just possible, but incredibly efficient and accurate, because this is where the real magic happens.
The key ingredient here is the DSPy framework. Think of it like this. Instead of just giving the AI a simple suggestion, like a basic prompt, DSP gives it a whole detailed blueprint for the analysis. It actually teaches the AI how to do the task. This structured approach makes the results way more consistent, reliable, and scalable. So how do you process 5 million reviews without waiting forever? You definitely don't do it one by one. The system uses what's called a multi-processing approach. It basically creates a bunch of parallel lanes to analyze huge batches of reviews all at the same time. And this one change, it cuts processing time from days down to just a few hours, making sure the insights are fresh and still actually relevant. And this is why segmentation is so powerful. By automatically sorting feedback into these buckets, teams can zero in on the exact source of customer frustration. See a spike in negative feedback about the checkout process? The e-commerce team sees it instantly, without having to dig through a ton of unrelated complaints. They can go fix the bug before it tanks the quarterly sales numbers.
Now for what I think is the most important part, turning all of this complex data into something a business leader can actually use to make better, faster decisions.
This is the absolute game changer. All that complicated data science is hidden behind a super simple interface. A business user doesn't need to know how to write a single line of code. They can just ask a question in plain English, like, hey, what was our #1 complaint last week? And get an instant data-backed answer.
And it all comes together in this dashboard called the BI Genie. It's an interactive view that lets executives monitor sentiment in real time, drill down into specific problem areas, and spot new issues before they blow up. It basically democratizes the data, putting the power of millions of customer voices right into the hands of the people making the big decisions.
So when you build out this whole pipeline,
what's the ultimate impact? What does this mean for a business on a strategic level?
Well, the crucial point is this. It's not just about making pretty reports. It's about building a direct, real-time line of communication with your entire customer base. This system turns messy, raw feedback into a real strategic asset. It means a company can spot a product defect somebody mentioned in a review and push out a fix weeks before their competitors even know there's a problem. That is a massive competitive advantage.
And so we'll just leave you with that final thought. Your customers, right now, are telling you exactly how to improve. The question isn't whether you have the data anymore. It's whether you have the tools to truly listen at scale. Thanks for tuning in.